It's just recording this. Hi. So I'm going to talk a little bit about carving for our teabowl. So this is your test tile that you guys, one of the test tiles you could have made for your texture tile where I pressed designs into it. Now I'm going to focus on carving. And the best stage to carve clay at is leather hard. So to get your piece to leather hard, you can leave it out a few hours and keep an eye on it. Or you can use a hair dryer if you move fast and around the piece and turn it as you go so it doesn't dry in one spot. That's not the best way because it can crack. Or if you did it over the weekend, I asked you to put it in your bag and leave the bag open a little bit till it got to leather hard and then close it. So when you carve, you might want to test it first. So if your pot is already leather hard, you don't want to leave it out much longer. You'd want to wrap that up in your Ziploc again. But if it isn't leather hard, you can leave it out and then practice on your test tile. So the way that you guys will make your own loop tool is you just take a paper clip and a pencil. Hopefully you have those things at your house. You could also try to find something else like a binder clip, but the paper clip's a little thinner and works better. And then you'll want some duct tape if you have it, or I have strapping tape, strong tape. Otherwise, you can try to use masking tape or something like that. And what you do is you just wrap that around there, and it's basically a makeshift loop tool. And that is one of the best tools for carving. So the loop tools look like this, and they usually are double-ended, and they're used for trimming on the wheel and for carving out details. So there are different kinds of loop tools that you can use. And so there I made my makeshift loop tool. And the way that the loop tool works is you just use it to carve in or carve away some patterns. It's not as good as the actual loop tool, but it can give you some really nice texture. And then when it's fired, this one has that carving all around it, this teabowl, it's bisque fired. Once it's fired, the glazes will look really pretty when we get into glazes Thursday and Friday when you have texture. And we're going for that kind of wabi-sabi aesthetic. So when you guys have these variety of glazes on the texture, it really looks quite beautiful. Okay, here's another example. This student carved away designs around that. And then you can kind of see the decorative glazing that occurred with that. And same with this one. Has carved designs and decorative glazing. And so you definitely want to do some carving away. That also emphasizes that wabi-sabi aesthetic. So I made this teabowl Friday. I added the foot. You can watch the video on your own. It's leather hard. The rim is smooth, but it's still leather hard. So if it was thick, like much thicker than my pinky, I would want to pinch that a little bit thinner. Like look at that spot. That's really thick. But you can also scoop some away if it's too thick. You can scoop some away because if you have a really thick rim, then you go to drink out of it and that rim will make it dribble. And then you'll definitely want to smooth that with your finger. Don't add water. Your finger still works on leather hard clay. And so the rim is nice and smooth. And then I'll go in and decide, okay, I really like that pressed texture, but maybe I can add, and my finger marks, maybe I can add in some carved, interesting texture. And remember, we don't want it perfect. We want it wabi-sabi. Okay, then you'll also use that for your foot. So this foot could use some carving around here. And you saw in the video how she just carved out the foot. So I could go in here and I could take some time and I could use that to define the foot. And then again, just smear it, smooth it with your finger. If you would cut out too much by accident, you can just take some soft clay and press it in those cracks if you carve too much away. But definitely smooth down any sharp edges. And you can use that to kind of carve away. So it's not the best tool. You might have to replace the paper clip, but it's pretty close. And you can do what you can. And you can also use it to carve out the interior of the foot as well. And then also you can carve out areas of the foot like you guys saw with the different types of feet, like the cherry blossom foot and those kinds of things. After you've done your carving, smooth any rough areas. And then please put your name and class shape on the bottom. A pencil's the best tool, but you can use your stick. The pencil's dull, so it's better. So you'd put your full name if you can. That's easier for me, or your full initials. Mine are CDD. And the arrow is our class shape. And then clean up any clay boogers so they're not sharp. And then put it back in your Ziploc to bring to school. Hopefully you can bring it on Wednesday so it can get fired. And then Thursday, Friday, we'll talk about glazing. Now, when you bring it Wednesday, it's going to take a while before you can pick it up and get fired because it takes about 2 or 3 days to fire to the bisque stage, to this stage. So it won't be ready for you Thursday to glaze, but we will start something new and then we'll get into glazing once you're able to pick those up. So what you need to do today is you need to make or finish your teabowl. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Give me 1 sec.